Franklin School Board to order. I'd like to thank you all for coming. Do we have a motion to come out of closed session?
I move that the school board, having been in closed session pursuant to a proper motion, come out of closed session.
Thank you, Marshall. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to come out of closed session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Do we have a certification of the school board closed session?
Whereas the Franklin City School Board has convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712.d of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such a closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion for certification signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Do we have a motion that came from our closed session?
I move to approve the personnel agenda as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the personnel agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Would you stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve our agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Roll call. Ms. Moore. Present.
Present.
Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Thank you. Do we have any citizens' time, people? No sign-ups. Our next item is SR3 funding. We periodically have to have a public comment period. SR3 funding is essentially COVID money that was sent from the federal government through the state to us. So would anyone like to come up and make a comment on that funding? Would anyone like to come up and comment on SR3 funding? By law, we have to mention that and ask 3 times. Would anyone like to come up and make a public comment on our SR3 funding? Moving on to our consent agenda, we have some minutes. 3.1. Does anyone have a motion to approve the minutes of our
I so
meeting?
move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Next item is special recognition for our track team. Dr. Sterling, or Mr. Phelps, whoever.
Right, I was going to announce Mr. Phelps. Mr. Phelps, thank you, Board Chair.
Good evening, Chairman Holt and School Board, Dr. Sterling. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Sterling for allowing this to be on the agenda for tonight. We have an outstanding group of student athletes who had an outstanding season last spring that culminated at James Madison University at the state track meet. They achieved all kinds of individual and maybe even some team, but definitely individual awards. And I'm going to, at this time, turn over to their coaches. And we got them lined up over there. All right, good. I'm going to turn over to our head coach, Mr. Dennis Sumlin. And he's got his assistants here tonight and his team. And he can introduce them and say a little bit about the season.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Good afternoon. Well, good evening, school board, Dr. Sterling and this whole school board. We will appreciate the invite. Thank you all for recognizing us as a team. Thank Mr. Gamble, he's not here, is our AD. Mr. Phelps is our principal, and they allow us to do this job. So we are very grateful for that. As a team and coaches, Ms. Sumlin, Mr. Collins, Mr. Adams, and Mr. Lane. As a team, we work hard to get the best out of our students. They know we push them hard because we see potential in them that we want to get out of them, and they give it back to us. And so, you know, we really want to give them a hand because we're the old guys. We know what it is. I'll say a little bit about the team, and then I'll introduce some of the kids, and the wife will give us some of the achievement that we have achieved over the years. This year, we had the biggest team we have ever had at Franklin High School since we've been coaching track. We had 15 young men and 9 young ladies, and with the JV program of middle school trying to build up, we had 8 girls, 5 girls to come from the middle school to run, which was good. So, you know, they saw that excitement and they want to be a part of it. And that's our goal, you know, to feed it to them while they're young, and the older they get, they might indoctrinate this thing and run with it. And hopefully, and our goal is always to get to the state and to win the state. That's our goal. And we tell our kids from day one, we want to go to the state. We want to win the state. Did go to the state. Almost won the state.
All right.
So, but we did well. We had 5 people that went to the state this year. 4x1. We had a young lady to run 100 meters. We had a young man to run the 100 meters and the 200 meters. And we also had another young man to run the 200 meters, but he couldn't participate because of graduation, you know. And because we have a preliminary race, you have to run that Friday or you can't run that Saturday. But graduation is more important. We talked to him and we said, look, your mom and dad and all your folks come for these events, so do that first. But the good thing about that, although he didn't get, you know, to participate, Mr. Phelps, Mr. Phelps. Not only did the young man that missed the 200 meters, our 4x1 team, we had 2 kids that was going to graduate and 1 guy that was going to graduate. So we had 3 guys running that was going to graduate. So the goodness of Mr. Phelps got out of his bed like 4 o'clock in the morning and drove our kids to James Madison so that they could participate in the state track meet. So let's give Mr. Phelps a hand. And with that said, Mr. Phelps, would you please come forward? We have something for you. Yes. On behalf of the Franklin track coaches and the staff and all the players, we would like to present this to you for the 2002 Regional 1B champions, Class 1A state runner-up, boys 4x1, and we had a personal best 44.9. And you was there for us, and we really appreciate it. I will wear it tomorrow. So I will let my assistant and my wife come up and announce the players and some of our individuals, athletes that we have had over the years. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My husband did put in there, so I won't prolong the time. I just wanted them to come and turn around. What we did this year for them is put all of their credentials on the front of their shirts. So with Caden, he was our fourth leg. And Jalen was our second leg. And Jalen was the state attendant in the 100, as my husband said. And he was on our relay team on the region. So he was on that team as the second leg as well. So they're the champions there. And of course, state runner-up, as you already said. And then Caden. Okay. So he was in the 100 and the 200. He placed third and fourth in those events. And of course, on the state runner-up for the relay as well, the fourth leg. This is second year as our fourth leg. He also went last year as a freshman and placed fifth in the 100. So looking for both these young men to come back. And the other two are working tonight, so that's why they're not here. And I want to apologize. We had quite a few we got conference, region runner-up, state runner-up. I'm going to get back up. Region runner-up, region champion, state runner-up, state champion. I had all my numbers printed so nicely, and unfortunately my red ink was out. So I got it all listed, but I don't have my actual numbers. But I know we have 3 state championships individually or team. We have 3 state championships, and we have 8 state runner-ups right now. But a lot more individual, at least 16. I got that down. 16 region runner-up titles, and 10 region champions, individual or team. And I think he said that we're trying to build so that we can get the overall team, because if your team wins the district, the whole team goes to region. Team wins region, whole team goes to state. So get the money ready, because we're trying to get there. Yes. Oh, okay. Where's the players you said? Marquis Lafayette. Come on, man. Dedicated award this year. He does everything. He wanted to try everything. Triple jump, high jump, long jump, pole vault that we never got going, but he wanted to try it anyway. And he ran the hurdles, the 300-meter hurdles, and 400 and 800. He attempted all of this. And through the distance.
All right.
Secret. Secret was a part of our 4x1 girls relay team. We're trying to get them to the state as well. They did place in the district. They placed in the district and competed in the region. And you also ran the 100 and 200.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had quite a few athletes. The best part of track for us is getting that new athlete that never have tried it before, and they attempt it. My girl's not here tonight. Brianna Carey, I just want to mention her. She's working at Bojangles, but she's about 5'1.5",
Wow.
and she wanted to try the 100-meter hurdles. I was like, okay. The 100-meter hurdles like here, she's like here. So she tried it, and guess what?
She made it.
She went to regions in. She missed on the state by 1 place.
Wow.
She placed 6th. She was way up in the top 4. She placed 5th. So we were excited because it was something she never tried before, and this is all stuff they never tried before. They tried and they succeeded. So that's what gets us excited. All right, that's my piece.
Again, thanks for the invite.
Dennis, Dennis, before you leave, thank you for bringing Mona, because Mona was a legend at Franklin High School for over 30 years. And her name still echoes in the halls over there, I know that. Good to see you, Mona, thank you.
Thank you. I do want to mention Miss Pat Jones. She's one of our chaperones, and Miss Collins assist. She just come and assist her husband on that computer that I had to give up, and thank God for both of them.
I just want to say this publicly. Thank you again, but I have already cornered them to move down to the elementary level, 4th and 5th, so we can start grooming them for this dynamic team. And we will definitely meet because it's a program that is absolutely amazing. It's changing lives, and we want to make certain we start them early. And we are so pleased to be able to entrust our children with you because, as you can see, they are champions. So congratulations, and we'll be talking.
Thank you again. Very impressive. Financial report, 5.1 vouchers for payment. I see Mr. Ryder is on for us. Good evening, Mr. Ryder.
Good evening, Board Chair, Superintendent.
Does anyone have any questions about items on the vouchers for payment?
Yes, Chairman, this is Mr. Holt. Oh, excuse me. Mr. Ryder, this is Jerry McCrary with Ward 6. I did have a few questions about the vouchers.
Okay, are you looking at the June or the July?
I have questions about both, so I'll start with June.
All right.
And this is just more education on my part. The Chromebooks from Dell Marketing, for freshmen in elementary, that was around $81,000. I was just curious how often these Chromebooks are renewed and which fund those expenses are paid from.
All right. I'm scrolling, looking for those.
I think it was under Dell Marketing.
Right
so
there.
The DCD. Oh, the 47 and the 34.
Yes.
Yeah, those come from local funds. Those are normal expenses every year that our technical director uses to replace out of date or broken, any number of reasons why we need to upgrade these things. But that's budgeted for in the normal budgeting process, and that comes out of operating funds.
Okay. So that's an expected fund
No,
or expense?
budgeted.
It's a budgeted expense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The next one was under music and arts.
Yes.
And I believe the board had talked about this a while back, but if you could refresh my memory on those expenditures.
Absolutely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, about 9 or 10 invoices for music and arts. We received a specific grant for $148,000 thereabouts, and the $105,000 was the big down payment for a lot of the instruments. And the problem is, due to supply chain disruptions, these orders were sent in piecemeal. So that's why these invoices were paid piecemeal. You will see the final invoice for music and arts will be paid in August because the last item to come in was for about 16 trombones that had been missed, and so they had to ship them in. They arrived on about August 5th, and so the final music and arts payment will be paid in August.
Okay. Can you remind me which grant that is?
Yeah, that was the Hampton Roads Community Foundation grant.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Let's see. Sorry, actually, I think that oh yeah, there was one more from June, the R.W. Tyler and Associates, the warehouse rental.
Yes.
So, is that a monthly, is that a recurring expense? That's about $5,000.
Yes. I believe those folks had neglected to invoice us. We were supposed to be paying it throughout the year, and I think they just discovered that they hadn't billed us, so they had to very quickly go back and bill us for the whole year. So that's why there should be 12, 1, 2,
Yeah, I think,
8, 9, 10,
yes,
11.
I
There's
counted
12
11,
invoices,
okay.
yes.
So that's the 450, that's the once a month.
Yes.
That's for the whole year, okay.
Right.
All right, okay, and that's it for now, thank you.
Any other questions on the vouchers? All right, Mr. Ryder, our financial report.
All right. What I have to do here is I have to bring this up on my other screen here because I must say that the you folks wouldn't know this, but the sound quality and the picture quality is outstanding from where I sit. All year long, I could barely hear anyone, but now I can hear you perfectly.
We can hear you too.
Yeah. So my hat's off to Josh for fixing whatever he fixed.
Yes.
So I'm gonna scroll on my other screen here and speak to the thing, and I'll just see if Tammy's scrolling with me. So there's for the new board members a little bit. This is the beginning of the year, so I'll just kind of quickly explain the financial statements. I'm required by the Virginia Department of Education to report the financial condition of the school division on at least a monthly basis. Now, these first 2 months, July and August, I'm going to show you the financial structure. Ordinarily, I have comparison figures because numbers in a vacuum don't mean anything. They got to be compared to something. So ordinarily, I would have the prior year there and this year to date, but the prior year isn't closed yet. We're still in the process of completing the prior year. And the month of July and August does not have teacher salaries, so the salaries are well understated. But so we're still in the accrual process, but be that as it may, here is the first one. This is Fund 10, and by far Fund 10 is the most activity for the entire division. All of you, everybody's paid out of here except the grant-funded people and the cafeteria. So that's why this fund is the largest of the three that we have. All your transportation costs are paid out of here, and all the buildings and grounds costs are paid out of Fund 10. Fund 10 is our general fund. There's the budget for $13.8 million in and $13.8 million out. And as you can see, there's very little expenses being coded to July. The next financial statement should be the textbook fund. And so the Virginia Department of Education mandates that all school divisions in Virginia have a separate fund just for textbooks. It is a separate line of funding in the state calculator, and that's where this fund gets all of its revenue. So this $70,992 is what they're going to be sending us in 24 equal installments throughout the year. It's financed by the state, and so we maintain a separate checking account just for the textbook fund. Ordinarily, down at the bottom, I would show you guys the beginning balance, where we're at so far, and what we've spent, and the ending balance. A quick little bank reconciliation, if you will, but that too is in the year-end process, so probably around August or September, I'll start showing that information. The nutrition fund, because the nutrition fund, Fund 8, most of the revenue that comes into the nutrition fund comes from the United States Department of Agriculture. And there's some state funding, very little, and there's local funding. Inside that local funding figure there, $94,000, a good chunk of that is the sales that we make to the senior services, especially now that we're making both breakfast and dinners. And so that's really good. The year before last at $94,000, we brought in about $1,400 due to COVID. So it's very good that we're back in business. We do maintain a separate checking account for this. So the school division maintains two checking accounts, the textbook and the nutrition. And so it's not uncommon to see some expense here in July, but no revenue because we have to submit the revenue at the end of the month, the claims, and so the revenue gets, so in August you'll see July revenue, etc. You're always 1 month behind on the revenues in the cafeteria fund. Now, this next one is the grants. And the grants, we have roughly 32 different grants going simultaneously all the time. 3 Title I's overlapping, 3 Title II overlapping. And so this here is just the culmination of all the grants. To show you guys every single grant would take all night. So I condensed them all down into one income statement that is in the same format as the others. It's always in deficit all year long. There's nothing to worry about down there. That big red negative number, it's always like that, and it should be, because we always have to spend first and then get reimbursed. And the only time that red number goes to zero is after we do all of our accruals at the end of the year and push all that July and August revenue back into June, and that negative balance comes up to zero. So you will always see a deficit in the grants income statement. What you don't want to see is you don't want to see a $600,000 or $700,000 deficit. The only reason you would see that is if we made some very large capital expenditures and didn't get them reimbursed in the same month. By the way, if we do make very large grant expenditures, and it could be capital or retention stipends or whatever, if it goes above 6 figures, we actually claim it in the month rather than waiting till the end of the month, because we want to get that money in before the month ends. So that's a cash flow policy and a procedure that we just put in place after last October's excitement. And so the final one is the overall income statement. It is nothing more than the summation of the other 4 income statements. It just gives you the grand total overall for the division.
Mr. Wright,
Okay.
may I ask a quick question?
Sure.
On the grants, can you remind me what the 2 items, the parent engage, is that parent engagement? The 52,000 and the 11,000?
Which grant is that? Parent engagement specialist. I don't rightly know, Mr. McCurry, but I'll have that for you at the finance committee meeting.
Is the parent engagement, is that a salary position or a
Yes, it
position?
is. Mhm.
Okay. All right. That answers what.
Mr. Wright.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Sir.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you one more question. So what's the 11,000? Is that a second? Like,
No, that's other. All of the other categories is everything we write accounts payable checks for. S&B is for salary and benefits, so that's all your payrolls. And then the other is just everything else we write checks for. So when you buy stuff, you buy supplies. And
okay.
that's why in operation and maintenance, it's huge. It's $1.4 million because a lot of all of your capital expenditures are in there.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, the last item. It is a board policy in almost all school divisions that whenever we're going to dispose of an asset, be it selling a vehicle or just destroying a building or whatever, we have to get the Board of Education's approval because you just give stuff away or sell it. So and the word disposal is a catch-all phrase. It's either dispose it by sale, dispose it by scrapping, or disposing by donation. So in this case, it's actually destroying. The modular unit at J.P. King Middle School has been self-condemned for many months, if not years now. And I gave you guys a huge PowerPoint with pictures back in January of how bad the condition is. So I notified the principal over there to make sure it's cleared out because it's time to demolish that. It's a safety hazard. We don't want kids wandering in there on the weekend or anything like that. And it's growing mold. And so we had always planned to get rid of it and replace it, but we got to get rid of it first before we can replace it. And so we got a proposal for about $32,000 for the guy to after John Smith and his group disconnect the utilities, they will piece by piece take this thing down and haul it off to the landfill. And so our recommendation is for the board to proceed with the demolition of the mine. Are there any, so that, I think that needs a vote, right?
So the goal is to have essentially a vacant lot there, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Do we have any motions regarding Mr. Ryder's recommendation?
I motion to approve the RC demolition proposal to demolish and dispose of the module unit at J.P. King Middle School.
Thank you, Brittany. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All are in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ryder.
All right, thank you very much.
Item 6.1, Summer Maintenance Projects Overview. I believe Mr. Smith is going to do that.
Yes, sir.
We just got a presentation, show you some of the stuff that the maintenance team has been doing this summer. Just kind of got a little presentation of our projects and where we are.
That's okay, John.
So this is SB Morton. We did the gravel driveway behind Module A and Module B. That's completed and done. It turned out nice. We got the cooling tower. We got that replaced at SB Morton also. That's done. We got the contractor to come out and it's going to be painting the hallways. He's basically putting like a black primer and then paint over that to cover up all the walls and hallways. Just pending the schedule. We got the office carpet. Going to be replacing that at SB Morton also. They got to do a moisture test to make sure the concrete slab, to see what it looks like to make sure everything will be good with that. They have ordered the tiles. We got the gazebo project that we'll be doing in the backside of the playground. The Bright Stars playground. We had somebody come out to look at a kind of like a redesign to try to do something with that because it's in poor shape. And then the floors, they're all basically done at SB Morton. All the stripping, the waxing, etc. is done, and we have all the PM service, all the HVAC units, service, filters changed. They're all ready to go for school start. That's just a slide of the mulching the guys did to get the school ready for opening, with the flower beds and stuff out front. That's the Bright Stars playground that's in question about trying to do something different as far as a redesign to try to make that better for the kids to play on. That's some of the furniture we're setting up in Mod A. Most of the furniture is set up. Some teachers are moving their stuff in. We got most of the lab things done. We had to plumb some of those. That's probably 90% done. We're real close. That's a picture of the asphalt project. So originally, if you look at the small piece there, closest to you, that's basically what the driveway used to be, like 57 stone. We went through, we had the asphalt milling put from the fence to the modular to assist for like buses and stuff like that that come into the back for teacher parking also. JBK, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to get the carpet pulled out and placed in the office. Just pending the moisture test also. They've already ordered the tiles for that. The fire alarm project, which was
questions for John Smith? Thank you, gentlemen. Dr. Carter, thank you.
I would like to tell you that since Mr. Smith has come aboard, it's been a fantastic transition. He has hit the ground running. The efficiency is 200%. And top-notch communication. So I just want to let the board know that we're pleased and thrilled to have Mr. Smith.
Excellent.
Good.
Travis.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Sterling.
All right. Good evening, everyone, board members. This is the superintendent's update over the Student Safety and Wellness Committee. We had the Student Safety Wellness Committee take place on Tuesday. We're very excited. We had 18 partners participate in the wellness webinar that we conducted. The Zoom meeting again was held Tuesday, August 16th, and again 16 community stakeholders were in attendance. Our purpose and goal for this Wellness and Safety Committee is to combat the impact of increased violence within our city, on our school, on our students' mental health, and accomplish our goal to support and maintain a positive school culture that provides for safety, health, and well-being of students. It was amazing to see how many people were jumping in to volunteer their support, be a part of the activities that we're going to go through briefly. And it was just really an exciting time for Franklin City Public Schools to build our partnership around safety, health, and well-being. And this is a program overview. We talked with our partners for September, October, and November, and we're only going in 3-month intervals. So they were able to review what our focus was going to be for the month. And they, right then and there, was like, I want to commit to this, I want to commit to this, or I want to commit to that. But we told them, just hold on. A survey will be sent out to you, and the survey was. And they will be able to fill in exactly what they want to participate in. So if you look at the month of, let's look at October. Look at the month of October. Our focus for Franklin City Public Schools, all of our schools, is Bullying Prevention Month and Red Ribbon Week. And we're going to have parent symposium workshops that focus on what's happening in our city. Chief Patterson was on the partnership call. Human trafficking and sexual assault. What does that look like? What does that actually mean? How do we identify? How do I know if my child might be exposed to something like this? So we have professionals that will come in and conduct those workshops. Cyberbullying, you know, that's a big thing. We've had several, we've had 1 or 2 incidents where I don't know how to do it, but a student's picture was airdropped. And that's something now I just learned, that when it's airdropped, it goes to 150 some odd people. So how do we keep our children safe and understand that there is cyberbullying that we need to stop, and bullying prevention? And that's a big one for all of our schools. So we had a number of partners say they want to come commit, do the symposiums, and work with our students as well. So that's just one of them. And November, charity and gratitude, which, you know, we're very big on that in Franklin City Public Schools. And these are some of the areas that we will be focusing on. Health screenings, wellness checks. I think a year and a half ago, Franklin City Public Schools counseling team and central office called every single home to check on them during COVID. How are you doing? Are there any food insecurities? How's the mental health? Do you need activities? And it was telling. And we got to know our parents a lot more by just making those wellness checks. But we also want, like you say here, food services, housing, education, just really reaching out to our families through our parent symposiums. And we talked about partnership activities on the call, and this was direct impact. Now, what I just talked about was the parent focus. This one was the student focus, and I think we have every slot completed. I keep looking at the director of special programs and activities because she was on the call as well. But I think we have partners for almost every single activity. One was the welcome back, come dressed to impress. line up, greet our students, grade level readers. We have companies, whole companies committed to coming in once a month to read to a grade level. So they would adopt the 5th grade or they would adopt the 2nd grade and they would read character building, self-esteem books to them. Franklin High Five, we have groups that say they want to come in. They fill out the volunteer form, of course, and they get the background check. But during the lunch periods or during the halls, they would walk and give the kids high fives and positive affirmations. Monday Morning Magic, I love this one. We're having whole assemblies every other week with all of our students, and we have speakers that will give messages from 5 to 8, many messages of magic for our students. So we have that almost signed up for up until December. So we're happy about that. And we have one, we talked about our parent ambassadors as well to come in and actually create a PTA, but it's really an evolution of a PTA because they would adopt a grade level as well. So we're really excited about that. I can't wait to report to the board on how many partners have actually signed up and for you to come into the schools as well to see our partners in action. And we did have some board members on the call too, so I was very pleased about that. Our next steps will be a January meeting in 2023. Our topics will be, again, parent workshops in February, spring volunteer opportunities, and again, we always have surveys to gauge how we're doing, and that will be reported back to the board as well. Are there any questions?
Was that Zoom call recorded, and could it be accessed and watched by other people?
The
August
the
16th.
workshop that we did?
Uh-huh.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was recorded and it'll be put up, but you know, they register for the workshops and you know, they all attended. So we had a good turnout, but I like what you said and it will be posted on our website so you can hear the dialogue.
I was on that call as well, and there was just a lot of enthusiasm, didn't you think, Dr. Sterling?
Yeah, I think it was.
Across the board. And you can watch the recording and just feel that, I think.
That concludes the superintendent's report, sir.
Thank you. Important dates to remember. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, September 1st. It will be a work session in the conference room. Any other business by board members?
Yes, sir. I'd like just to comment. We had new teacher luncheon today, and so board members were invited and others in the city, and so we got to sit. Each board member got to sit with teachers or administrators in the schools, and I appreciate it because I got to, one, just getting to know the individuals, and we just had really good conversation. So 2 messages from me to the new teachers and to returning teachers. I just want to say thank you for choosing to work at Franklin City Public Schools. And I'll acknowledge the HR department for working hard to find teachers for our division. And one thing that was mentioned at the luncheon is that a vast majority of our teachers and many of our staff live outside of Franklin. And, you know, Franklin is a small community. So what you put into our students, into our schools and families, you're affecting the whole city of Franklin. And so we thank you for everyone's efforts. The second message I've mentioned before, and this was one of the topics we discussed at my table, is the strong need for parents to be engaged at any level. You know, just even recognizing the importance of education for your child and finding ways to make the most of their education at school and finding ways to be involved at some level, even if it's just meeting with a teacher. And and encourage other parents to do the same. and I'll probably mention that again later. So it's a big need, I think, for everyone. So we have so much that was one of the things mentioned in the conversation. One of the teachers is there's so many things vying for the attention of our children, especially with smartphones, internet, messaging, text messaging, far different from when I was growing up. And so there's a lot of competition for their attention. And so that's one more reason for parents to be engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? We have the minutes for our August the 4th meeting for your review. We will approve those next meeting. Anything else before we adjourn? Do I have a motion to
I
adjourn?
move to adjourn.
Second?
A second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No abstentions. We're adjourned. Thank you, folks, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.